Touching Tornadoes. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? Touching Tornadoes, we do a daily live bipolar mood journal, and today is November 4th, 2025, and I live with bipolar 1 with psychotic features. That is my lived experience, and so in an effort to keep myself stable and to give myself the best chance of staying on a path to recovery and not having another episode, I decided to do a mood journal. You know, it's recommended by doctors and books and everyone. So I'm not a very good writer, and I have been doing shows for a very long time to no one. So I'm used to that. And I decided maybe a helpful thing that I could do for the bipolar world is to do my mood journal live, to do my mood journal on YouTube. So uh, every morning I sit down with my trusty AI companion and try to put together a mood journal for that day and come up with a topic that has to do with the bipolar community and come down here and give you guys my thoughts for the day. So, um, we always start the show with a gratitude check in. Gratitude is something that you can use to remind yourself of the good things, of the normal things that you still have. You know, you lose a lot during this disorder. You can lose everything. A lot of people have. And so by doing a gratitude check in at the beginning, it's like, well, the one thing you didn't lose, brother, is you. You know what I mean? So check in with yourself. So, um, but we come up with some prompts, we come up with some ideas together. Uh, what should we name it? We should name my AI companion. We should name it something that way. Um, what would be a good one? I think that I would want. Do you want a male or a female? I'll go male. We'll just say Brad. Brad and I came up with this together before the show, so we'll start with our gratitude check-in. What's one thing I'm grateful for that helped me get through a hard season? Who showed up for me? We'll just read through them. Who showed up for me when I couldn't show up for myself? Even in the hospital or at my lowest, what small moment gave me hope? And what can I thank my past self for surviving? Um, what's one thing I'm grateful for that helped me through a hard season? Well, my immediate family, my wife and my kids, especially through this past episode. What's up, James? It was severe enough to be, I had to go to the hospital, and we'll talk about that. Just knowing since then that they don't judge me for then, they judge the illness. You know what I mean? And that's like uh the most you could ask of anyone who's going to be around you as a bipolar. You know, if they know that you're bipolar, it's like, don't judge me based on, you know what I mean, things I've done when I was manic. Just don't you understand I was ill? You know what I mean? Like, and so the fact that they can separate it, it's a huge thing. It's not a small thing. Um, what's up, brother? K Dub. And small things I'm grateful for are like the time to do because as somebody who in my prior to diagnosis life was, like, up and going. It took a gallon of coffee, and I would just have a pot of coffee every day and just be out the door, go run my manic 10 miles. I mean, no, this is at the end of my pre-diagnosis, you know, when I was burning it and kinda having, like, an entrepreneurial career in an industry I had no idea what I was doing in the, food service industry and just pushing, 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 and rebuilding a dilapidated 1922 Texaco to create a dream of mine, or to try to keep going for a dream of mine, and at the same time running back to Kansas every week to take care of stuff, that I had there. So a 3-hour one-way drive every week just to work more. And it was just so being able to be like, hey, take a breath and go do your thing. I mean, because there's this huge part of me that is still inside of my brain telling me that I need to, push it, push it, push it. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to frickin', whatever, David Goggins or whoever you want to. That's kind of like what is in my mind, though. And so a small thing that helps me get it's hard, that's hard. That pulls at me. It's my whole it's society. It's our culture that tells you, work hard and, if time enough to lean, time enough to clean, all those things. And so the smallest thing I can be thankful for is like just this moment where it's I'm allowed to do the show. The show can take as long as I want it to. It can start when I want it to. And the other stuff that I have to do, I don't need to judge myself for what I'm not doing. You know what I mean? Like what I haven't accomplished. Um, and a lot of times, I don't know if it's bipolar people or all people, or I'm sure it's a mix, but maybe, at least for me, the thoughts don't ever stop. They just keep going. And so if I can find a thought that's strong enough to pull me away from a ruminating one that is bad, like something telling you like you're worthless and it just tells you over and over again in your mind. And then if you can find something that pulls you away from that thought to a better rumination, like you're still ruminating, it still kind of sucks either way. But um, I've found that the gratitude and the small thing is like this. I feel like by doing this, it makes some sort of impact in the bipolar community, whatever. It makes some sort of impact, but so I still feel like I'm productive. I still feel like I'm doing something. Whereas, and that I have time to do it, like it's important because for whatever reason, if you don't do something important with your time, it's like you're wasting it. Like that's how my upbringing made it seem, I guess. That's just which sucks because then even in the moments of rest, even in the moments when you get the ability to rest, you feel guilty the entire time that you're resting. So it's like that's what I'm doing right now. Just wanting to be grateful that I don't have to push it like I was. So even in the hospital or at my lowest, what small moment gave me hope? Um, my past visit to the hospital or the most recent one, I was manic in the hospital. They got me not stable. They got me to where hopefully I'd be okay. They got me medicated in the hospital and then had to let me go. And, um, but what gave me hope in that stay was even though I was manic and in comparison to the first time I was hospitalized, which was like during this mixed episode depression type thing that happened about a year ago. This time I was manic, like I was ramping up into mania when I got to the hospital, full blown manic, that kind of thing. Um, was the fact that even though I was that, what my natural or my what I focused my time on while I was there was everybody else. Like checking in on everybody that was there. And I'm sure it was annoying for all the other patients and the staff, and probably, you know, had I been in a different, uh, like, had I been in a worse place at the hospital, not manic, if had I been in my depression, I would not have wanted somebody like me always checking in. But it's like I felt like I could help them, and I don't know if I did, but I guess I'm just grateful that I didn't go the other way, that I wasn't mad or angry or anything like that towards them. So, um, something Brad and I came up with is gratitude doesn't erase pain, it puts light around it. And says an idea we come up with was that even during hospitalization, gratitude might have looked like something small: a nurse who listened, a friend who visited, or just having a bed to rest in after chaos. But yeah, I think that sometimes when you're in the hospital, just getting the right meal. I didn't even know how to fill out the meal card. So mention Brad put to mention how gratitude can coexist with trauma. Um, both can be true. Yeah, you can be. That's. I'd say that's would describe my trip to the hospital is traumatic. I'm still getting over that and um, dealing with it, but I'm grateful that I was there. I'm grateful that the cop didn't take me to jail, that he took me there. So it was scary. It is scary. It can be scary, the whole thing. So that's why we're doing this. Let's get in the daily mood journal, everybody. I'll go read through the stuff Brad and I came up with. How would I rate my energy today? What emotions are strongest right now? Calm, sadness, anger, gratitude, confusion. How does my body feel? Tense, tired, restless, calm. What thought has been replaying in my head today? And what do I need most right now? Rest, connection, reassurance, perspective. How would I rate my energy today? I'm kind of low, really low. I'd say like I'm at a 4 or 3. Um, I I think that I went to bed a little bit earlier than usual, and I still woke up kind of tired. I still haven't. I spent a lot of time doing a little bit of research on how to do stuff on YouTube, and that probably was a waste of time. I don't know. you never know how to do anything. Like, should I post these at this? You know what I mean? Um, and that drains my energy. I shouldn't even mess with it. So I'm trying to find the simplest way to not drain myself by doing this show, to post it to the places that it needs to be posted so people can see it if they want to. But if it's hard to find even for people who are trying to find it, that's where it gets frustrating. 'Cause it's like, well, what can I do to make it at least easier to find for those who I know who want to see it? So, what emotions are strongest right now? Calm, sadness, anger, gratitude, confusion. I would say I feel a little bit of confusion. I got anxiety. I get that burning anxiety feeling in me a lot. I don't know if it's restlessness or this. It's just an uncomfortable, fuzzy, tingling feeling that happens. Kind of like you're nervous, but yet nothing to be nervous for. Um, so how does my body feel? Tense, tired, restless, calm. I'd say restless, and tired. What thought has been replaying in my head today? Uh, you just sometimes you wake up and you feel like you're a failure. You know what I mean? That one's been playing in my head today. Like, you know, not how things could be different. I try not to go into how things can be different, like, because you can't change the past. But so that's not a thing I have to really mess with, or worry about coming into my thoughts. But feeling like a failure, like everyone around me deserves better than what I can offer. And then I get the feeling like, well, then, and I'm on this journey that is a lifelong journey, and so far not been a great one, you know? So, because it's not like I I wanted to go manic again, you know what I mean? But it still happened. So you worry about that and you think like, man, they all deserve better than you. Yeah, you feel like a failure. But I also know that that's why I'm doing this. What do I need most right now? Rest, connection, reassurance, or perspective? Probably perspective. I think that, just me reframing the thought of, like I had just said, the thought that's been ruminating in my head the most today has been feeling like a failure, like the ones around me deserve better. Um, and I think I've always felt like they've deserved better than what I've been giving them. That's what gets you. Sometimes that's what drives you. Like I'm going to get them what they deserve, or whatever they want. And the fact that everything blew up for me is that's where it's like, will I ever be able to get them everything they want? And then I don't know, probably not. Was I ever able to though? So that's probably the perspective. And then it's like, well, maybe they just, what do I want from them? Nothing. So why do I think that they want something from me more than what I am? But I think that that's probably true. So perspective, I got to reframe it and know that me just being the best version of me is ultimately what they want. So, what do you want? You just want somebody to be like happy and you want them to feel like they want to be there, you know? So, the hard thing then is to be like, I am happy. I'm just on these medications where it seems like I want to go to sleep. So, that's where it gets hard. Um so this is we came up with um share how mood journaling helps bridge awareness between my hospital stay and my recovery. I think that committing to doing a mood journal is like the I think it's what I needed to do. You know, it's I felt like sometimes when you're going through this and maybe you're getting better and the medication's working and you still feel like what can I be doing to help myself improve? You know what I mean? Like actually doing. And so like I feel like I'm actually doing something. And I feel like it's helpful that I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it because for those who care, like you know, my wife and them, they know that I'm doing it. So I'm checking in with myself, you know. So share an honest moment, maybe a day in the hospital when you couldn't feel anything versus now being able to name emotions out loud. Oh, well, I was the opposite. I could feel everything, or you know what I mean? Feel other people, hear their thoughts. The version of me that was in the hospital is so wildly different than the version of me that is not, that it's not even recognizable to me. Like I don't even recognize that person. So that's why it sucks. Um Normalize that journaling doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it just keeps you tethered to reality when you're trying to rebuild. Yeah, I think that it doesn't feel good. I There's a lot of this as, you know, it's hard to admit a lot of this stuff. I think that's what's so scary probably about this disorder is depending on where you're from, like you could just hide it. You could just try to, you know, not tell anyone. And I think about that sometimes where it's like, um, is it good for me to be here doing a live mood journal, doing a daily live mood journal about bipolar and admitting that I have it and being out with it? And it's like, I do. I do have it. So why would I hide it? It is something that profoundly changed my life, and I don't know where it's going to take me. So it doesn't feel good to be in the unknown and try to answer these questions every day when you really are still kind of in the unknown. But I think that's exactly what it does, is keep you tethered to reality. So we're going to go through a little bit of this is a long show. I shouldn't have ramped up. I'm just going to read these because I already kind of talked about the hospitalization. So we'll see. What hospitalization taught me about surrender? Um, when I was hospitalized, it was about surrender. My mind had taken over, and I had to let go of control to survive. That's how it felt, too. Um, discuss how hospitalization can feel humiliating or terrifying at first, but later reveal itself as a reset point. The first time I was hospitalized, it for sure felt humiliating, but it was for different reasons of going. I was in a bad spot, depressive, but also psychosis and really just not knowing what I'm was a was couldn't even process like what I was feeling. So describe it as like a mixed episode where I had these manic feelings, this that tingly feeling of mania, but also was is just horrible delusions. And so I even had delusions and hallucinations while in the hospital the first time, and they were frightening. They were like, of all the other patients that were there were part of a like secret. They were all first responders that were sent there to murder me, basically. Um, and how they did it was they were all part of like a former special ops team, and it was all this secret operation that was being recorded through the um, camera that was in the smoke detector. And so I sat up all night one night, one full whole evening and night, thinking that they were going to murder me, like legitimately murder me. And I was hearing the different patients, client or not, walk down the halls of the hospital telling me how they were going to dismember me or put me in the toilet or all this stuff, and knowing certain things about me that, you know, only a government spy would know. So, yeah, it was humiliating and terrifying the first time I went to the hospital. But once I got through that night, which thank God I was there having that, because none of that stuff was true. It was like the stress of the situation mixed with my first time being hospitalized and really just my first major depressive mixed episode. It was all too much, and my brain couldn't take it, couldn't process it, and gave me those delusions. And but after I came out of that, you know, once they got me medicated correctly and made me feel like, oh, you're here to get safe, you're here to recover, it did feel better. So, um, it was humiliating coming back from it. It still is. The last one was even more humiliating. Um, and it was terrifying. So yeah, those were two things I think can cause trauma. I mean, it's a traumatic thing. Talk about the grief that follows, missing your freedom, routines, identity. Well, all of those. Share what you learned after that you were worth stabilizing, that your story didn't end there, it restarted there, that being kept alive isn't the same as living, but it's the first step toward it. Invite listeners to reflect on if they've been hospitalized. I shouldn't read it like that. Hey, you need to reflect on whether you've been hospitalized. But I'm hoping that what helps me whenever I have this is whenever I have the thoughts of, I guess, being different, being, uh, and that makes you feel humiliated. Whenever I have the humiliation thoughts, like, I go try to find somebody who has the same experience so I don't feel alone, you know? And I guess that's why I'm putting all these out there, because I've listened to a majority. I mean, there's a lot of, I've listened to a lot of bipolar shows in order to not feel alone. And if I can do a daily mood journal every day, and somebody can find it and feel like they're not alone in the thoughts that they've had or the experiences they had, then it's like worth it. And I got to do it either way. So, um, I don't know what caused me on that. That you were stabilizing. Oh, inviting listeners to reflect on their stuff. I'm just glad that I already know some people who have listened, and said that it helped. So it was worth it. It is worth it. But you're welcome to. I don't know how to. If you want to comment, on what helped you get through your hospitalization and how it changed your relationship with yourself or your illness, yeah, let me know. The hospital wasn't the end of my freedom. It was the beginning of understanding of what freedom really means: stability, safety, and the ability to build again. I didn't even. I already did the daily mood journal. Oh, we're in affirmations. So we like to close the show with affirmations. I am grateful for my survival, even the parts I didn't choose. My hospitalization was not a failure, it was part of my healing. I have the right to rebuild my life at my own pace. Rest is recovery, not weakness. And I am proof that even from the darkest place, healing begins. It's kind of a big thing. I am proof of that. I mean, you're proof of that. But so we did our gratitude check-in today. We did our daily mood journal. I talked to you guys about my hospitalization, and we did our affirmations. So thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you'd like. Have an okay day. Don't let your meatloaf.